1 year ago, a final fling propelled Long Island into uncontrollable joy. Spectacular memories came courtesy of the game's finest netminder, a bulldozer-sized attackman, and Mr. MVP, who combined to make 2003 the year of the Lizards. This summer, Boston eyes the prize, a heavyweight contender to knock the Lizard Kings from their lofty perch. The Cannons blessed away with a lethal blend of skilled scorers who all have a score to settle on the Major League Lacrosse Game of the Week. An absolutely picture-perfect day to stroll into Mitchell Athletic Complex and get a glimpse of the fastest-growing rivalry in professional lacrosse. The unbeaten Cannons have come to Long Island hoping to slay the Lizards on the Major League Lacrosse Game of the Week on ESPN2. A very pleasant welcome to you, along with Quint Kesnick. I'm Joe Beninati. Quint, major bragging rights are on the line early in the season. The Lizards have ruled the American division for 3 years running, but Boston's off to its quickest start, yet the Lizards don't want to hear anything about them taking away the title.
In week one, Boston beat Long Island and really sent a warning flare out to the rest of the league.
Boston's prolific scoring machine is still very young and very talented.
They've got a great 1-2 punch. Kevin Lavelle having a breakout season, 10 goals, including 1-2-pointer, catches everything that you throw to him, and their primary setup guy has been Connor Gill, 40 assists last season. The Rookie of the Year from 2 years ago, premier setup man in the league, has eyes in the back of his head. But a couple weeks ago against Baltimore, had the game tying and then showed some heroics. The game-winning goal, 18 points this season, and Gill is a guy who sets up his teammates so well.
With all the hoopla surrounding the Cannons and their fast start, let's not lose sight of the fact that the Lizards still have a roster that's laden with all-stars who very much mean business.
Well, you want to talk about game faces. J.J. Albert, the fire starter on the left. Here's a guy who does everything. He plays defense. He scores goals. He can pass. He's the emotional leader of this team. And then Tim Gettleman. They call him the Monster. 6'4", 240 pounds. Too big, too strong, too fast, too much horsepower and firepower for any one player to stop.
Total points scoring all around Major League Lacrosse is on the rise. On average, close to 40 points per Major League Lacrosse game this season. It is very, very difficult on the netminders. We are getting set for Boston and Long Island, an American Division rivalry, and these are the lineups, the starters for the Cannons.
Boston undefeated. Regan, 14 shots. He's got 6 goals in the season. Didn't play in the first meeting between these two teams because of a fighting incident last season.
Head coach Scott Hiller for Boston says that the younger members of his team are really taking to this Major League Lacrosse activity, and they are one of the reasons why his team has performed so very, very well. When he shuffles through the midfielder rotations, this is the way they'll look.
Take a look at their athletes, guys who will roam the middle third of the field. Regan, Batista, Dussault, Lavelle, Fiore, and Rotelli. Lavelle's really his success, 63% as a shooter this season.
The mighty Lizards of Long Island coming in at 2-1. They'll start this way.
Pat McCabe on defense, a guy you will see, a vacuum cleaner on ground balls. He's played in every single game in league history for the Lizards, 47 straight starts.
The new head coach of the Long Island Lizards is the former 43-year-old Major League Lacrosse midfielder. Vinny Sombrato leads the way for the Lizards, and when he needs midfielders, he'll go with these rotations.
This is like, I feel like I'm on the street.
Sombrato relying on 2 midfielders, then some role players. They're the top 2 units basically in the league, I think. Hogan, Finneran, and Hammer, some great firepower. But you talk about a second midfield with Gilbert, Denahan, and Wasik. That's a great 1-2 punch.
These two teams, they clashed back in the Major League Lacrosse season opening weekend. May 22nd was that game. Long Island with the series lead, but Boston has turned things around. You see that the Cannons were a 1-point winner back on May 22nd, and they dominated the face-off X.
You can see Peter Inge, when he's successful, Boston has been victorious, and the opposite is true when Cersei of Long Island, formerly of Syracuse University, when he has been successful, the Lizards have won.
Quint, time after time, you're going to hear from the head coaches. It's a lot about face-offs and goaltending, even at this level of Major League Lacrosse.
Got a false start by both players. And that's an illegal procedure call against Chris Cersei. He moved too early, Joe. He moved before the whistle. How about those butterflies?
The Cannons get it started. They're dressed in white. Mike Regan will play. And that pass got away from David Evans. He was looking right into the sunshine.
Sun setting over the crowd here on Long Island. And for the first quarter, it's going to be tough for Brian Doherty to make any stops to his left.
Ryan Doherty.
You can see the shadows. It's almost to the goal. It's almost like a baseball game when the pitcher's mound is in a shadow and the home plate is not.
Doherty is definitely playing the Sun field. Gettleman back behind the cage. Massey is there, and the Lizards, who wear their black jerseys here at home, will get camped out with Jay Jalbert. Jalbert is an extremely tough alley dodger. He draws a lot of double teams. Batista came over. They look for it, they reverse it, and Wasik hammers it wide. Chris Garrity between the pipes for the Cannons, ready to meet the advances of the Lizards. Wasik was set up in tight, that bounced away. Gettleman fires, and it was Garrity fighting it off. Massey will control as the Lizards work with a fresh 45-second shot clock. They clear it out. Massey from down under, he scores! Chris Massey.
Talk about relentless pressure, Joe. That Long Island possession, multiple shots. Garrity, the second-year pro out of Penn State, he was doing his best to keep Long Island at bay. But this is a Long Island team. When they get the ball moving, you see the short stick matchup. That's Dussault, a midfielder, covering Massey, an attackman. They needed to support better. Boston needed to double team or slide against Chris Massey. Interesting talking to Pat McCabe about Chris Massey. He says, hey, all Massey ever does is score. Everyone wants to take their shots at the guy, but he puts up great numbers.
Gettleman and Lowe along the Lizards attack. They're going to get the lion's share of the headlines as the Cannons win this draw. Looking to get even. Fiore, former All-America out of UMass, skipped one towards the crease. Lizards defensively vacuum it up, and away comes Gagliardi on the run. Veteran defensive presence, looking for an odd man rush. Oh, good pickpocket there. Ryan Curtis was last year's Major League Lacrosse Defender of the Year, showing just one of the reasons why. They get it quickly to Connor Gill. Gill on the run, and Doherty knocks it down. Look at McCabe and Testa and Gagliardi, so good along the ground. McCabe is a maestro.
Incredible ground ball play by McCabe, who's been doing it for so many years. Over 150 ground balls now after 3 seasons. Taking the ball off the carpet, such an important part of his game. That time, he goosed the ball around one of the Boston attackers and then scooped it up himself. So just a smart play.
Flag down. Power play soon to come for the Lizards. Massey just sent that one wide, and then he was cleaned out on his way to the crease.
Illegal procedure against Boston. So we'll see a Lizard power play. You know, one thing that's interesting about the Lizards defense, Joe, they're not the biggest group of guys. Gagliardi about 190 pounds, McCabe 190, and then Testa 180. They're so quick.
Speaking of quick, Mr. Quick, in the open field, A.J. Hogan is always one to watch when Long Island has the 6-on-5 power play that they enjoy right now in the black jerseys. Jalbert zooms one well wide.
We watched practice yesterday at Kings Point, the Merchant Marine Academy up north here on Long Island, and Jalbert's shooting touch was not on. He was missing the net all night long.
Hogan circles the wagons for Jalbert. They dump it inside. Good defense along the interior in front of Garrity. Jalbert collects. Hogan looks over the top. Force feed inside. Connor Denahan boxed away by Garrity. Ground ball belongs to Curtis, and he'll look to rag time as the Cannons are shorthanded. Michael Pizer, former All-America out of Johns Hopkins, off to Mike Regan, and he'll jet it into the offensive zone for the Cannons.
Excellent, excellent power play defense by Boston. They kept the ball on the perimeter. Long Island's ball movement, truthfully, was stagnant. Watching them on tape, they're dangerous when they get the ball zipping around.
Dussault on the split dodge, sends it on the way. Doherty eats it up, and then we get the whistle.
Taken down, tripping violation. You can't trip. Here it is. You see as Dussault pushes the middle of the stick, or a foot gets caught in between the legs. And they basically caught feet. Dussault tumbling to the turf. Power play time.
Mentioned that Boston win over Long Island in week 1. The power play was sensational. Connor Gill will spearhead it from the top. Batista, who has a rocket shot, keeps it along the goal line. Watson is so creative from sharp angles. Gill, who led the league in assists a season ago, continues to work the 3-3 from straight away.
Watson, skip pass, Gill over the shoulder, on the way for one, and it's hummed wide by Regan, who has one of the game's hardest shots, as Doherty continues to set the defensive strategy.
Joe, he's all about talking to his defense, getting organized. They're going to shut off Lavelle inside and then give up some outside shots. Evans has got a cannon. Regan's got a cannon. Gill is the master distributor behind the cage.
And you touched on Lavelle. He had the double-digit goal totals already. Leads the league in power play goals. Quick reversal. Evans stepping away from Brandon Testa. As we hear the whistle, this ball goes back to the Lizards. An early goal from Chris Massey before the game was 2 minutes old, and that's all we have on the board to this point.
You said scoring's been up in the league this summer. I believe that this will be the most defensive game we've seen all summer. Talking to the coaches this week, they really emphasize defense in their matchups. And I think in practice last night and today in the walkthrough at Boston, you saw a focus that was clearly on the defensive end of the field.
Long Island was just involved in the lowest scoring game of the season back in week 3. They bested Philadelphia 14-12. Jalbert on the move, right on in, and he hit the crossbar. Jay Jalbert with an outstanding individual effort. Back comes Tim Burns, who has been all everything for Scott Hiller and the Cannons. Regan on the roll dodge. Regan between two. Burns steps and drives, and Doherty got a chunk.
Excellent save by Doherty, who slid his feet. He loves to bait. He loves to encourage shooters to dictate, hey, you're not going to be able to shoot on this side of the cage. But that was all about quickness. He slid across his line and made the save. I think the ball hit him in the shoulder.
Quint, his save percentage numbers, goals against average numbers, are outrageous again this year.
Well, 60% for a goalie in Major League Lacrosse is off the page. Compare that to the other goalies in the league, and it's really miraculous what he's doing.
His opposite number tonight, Garrity's at 50, as that one is pumped wide.
And when you're facing 50 shots a game, a 10% difference is what? Accounting major?
Come on now, 10% of 50 is 5.
5-goal difference. Doherty's worth 5 goals. I didn't study that, Joe. They didn't have that kind of stuff at Hopkins.
Yes, they did. I don't think you and I paid attention in math class. It is the Cannons in the white jerseys. The highest scoring team in Major League Lacrosse. They average 20 points per game. They've been blanked nearly halfway through the first quarter. Fiore on the run. Fiore to the alley and right over the head of Brian Doherty.
Fiore, tall, excellent stride once he gets his speed going. Not the quickest guy, but with a head of steam, he's very, very difficult to stop.
Straightaway isolation for Chris Rotelli, who came over from Bridgeport in an off-season trade. Rotelli has great wheels, puts it right on, and Doherty read it well. McCabe again with the scoop. Little shovel pass turns out to be a turnover. Overhand, bullseye! The Cannons with Connor Gill. The veteran Pat McCabe with an ill-advised turnover that leads to a Cannons equalizer, as we are deadlocked at 1.
McCabe tried to shovel that to his goalie, and Gill's there to pick up his trash. Giveaway goal, Long Island.
Break time for us on the Major League Lacrosse Game of the Week. We're just getting started on Long Island.
Hey, Frankie, you know that race for president of beers?
Yeah?
Miller had to drop out. They're disqualified.
Why?
Well, as it turns out, Miller was bought by South African breweries. And you would have to be American to run for president of beers.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Miller ran all those commercials for nothing, huh?
What a shame.
Yeah.
But the spokesperson, he found a new job.
Oh, yeah? What's he gonna do?
He's hosting a reality show called Shoes and Socks.
Oh, he should go far with that.
Victories are personal. Achieve new balance.
Here we go. I'm the man. I'm the man. Man. Man.
Major League Lacrosse Game of the Week is brought to you by Bud Light, official beer sponsor, Major League Lacrosse. Fresh, smooth, real, Bud Light, it's all here. And by Warrior Lacrosse, the means to dominate. Visit Warrior online at warriorlacrosse.com. This one between Long Island and Boston, we are 1-1, a little more than halfway through the opening quarter. Inge and Cersei, familiar rivals, and Chris Cersei, who told us that he was injured in week 1, still coming off that wrist problem, has been better so far tonight.
And talking to Vinny Sombrado this week, love talking to coaches, spoke about Cersei's work ethic and the way he's been approaching practice. Felt that over the winter, maybe Chris had become a little complacent, but getting dominated by Inge in week 1 certainly woke Chris Cersei up, and there's no one who takes facing off more seriously than Chris Cersei. We saw that at practice yesterday. He just went off on his side and probably did, what, 200, 300 face-offs by himself for a while?
It's funny that his teammates were teasing him about being winded when it didn't seem like he was running up and down the field at all. Mike Regan likes to run. Regan piloting this Boston Cannons attack. They're in the white jerseys. Connor Gill has the lone tally for Boston in this one, answered by Chris Massey for Long Island.
Sun is no longer a factor, Joe. The shadows are gone.
Gill stepping away from Gagliardi, who wants to be right in his grill all evening. A tough pass to the inside for Evans. On the ground, Dussault, shot clock late. And from deep, and I mean deep, he gets 2.
I think Doherty was either screened or that ball was deflected. He might have been relaxing too much. Shot clock trickling down to nothingness. And Dussault comes up with a loose ball and then realizes that the shot clock's trickling down, takes the shot, and Doherty just fans on it. You kidding me, Doc? Wow. That you never see from Brian Doherty.
Brian Doherty, in his career, now 4 seasons old in Major League Lacrosse, is the netminder with a dubious distinction of allowing the most goals from 2-point range. Cersei worked over from the weak side by Inge, who hustled back after losing the draw. And then Inge, one of the league's ground ball leaders, comes up with this one. On for Fallon, the big defender who did a nice job against Gettleman in week 1. Cannons in white. Watson, a 30-goal getter last year. Harassed by McCabe. Watson is slippery, looking to the inside. That one pings off the iron, and Doherty finds it in the crease.
Watson pushing the matchup against McCabe, trying to turn the corner. Nearly bought himself a goal there, Joe. You know, I like the matchups of Boston's attack against Long Island's defense. You won't see Evans push to the cage very much, but I really think Gill has a physical superiority to anyone Long Island can put out there. Remember, Gill's, what, 6'3", about 200 pounds now.
Fiore ripping one off the target. Friends, a reminder, at the end of the game, Quint and I will be selecting our Bud Light Most Valuable Player. Connor Gill has won a slew of those honors for the Cannons. Slick move on the outside. Lavelle dumps it into a double team. Hard hitting for the Lizards. Going in there, that's Bloody Nose Lane. And Rotelli comes up hopping. Inside, good little look there, and it's slammed home. Watson from point blank.
Talk about some hustle goals, and Boston's given themselves second chance opportunities. It hasn't been pretty. Remember, their first goal, Gill, it was off a McCabe turnover. Their second goal was off a shot clock where their goalie was sleeping. This is all about hustle. Evans comes up with a loose ball. Watson has time to fake, near side, far side, boom, and he yanks it back to the near. There's the goal, but that all started with hard work, some blue-collar play on the ground ball.
Watson's goals totals now up to 9, Quint. He had 3 of them in the first meeting in late May. A 4-point unanswered run for the Cannons. Just like that, it's 4-1.
I think it'll be harder to find a player in league history who's been more consistent than Michael Watson. 3 goals a game, basically every game he's ever played. It's really amazing.
Cannons coach Scott Hiller in the red golf shirt, he knows that. He knows he can depend and count upon Mr. Watson. Batista off the stutter step, rips it off the post and in. Batista, too much for Doherty to handle. Boston showing all of its offensive arsenal. The Cannons, a 5-1 leader.
Batista pushing the alley right-handed, a little high step in action, creates the separation, nails the post. You see the bloody aftermath for Doherty. Long Island's defense is on the ropes.
We'll have more on the Major League Lacrosse Game of the Week.
The human machine only performs at its peak when it replaces what it loses. That's why Gatorade puts back the sodium, potassium, and carbs water does not have. These essential elements are the reason Gatorade has been proven to rehydrate, replenish, and refuel athletes better than water.
This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, this precious stone set in the silver sea.
A tremendous effort.
This earth, this realm, this England.
Wimbledon, the 2004 championships. Coverage begins Monday on ESPN and ESPN2.
What if you had $1 for every time someone needed more money in a fast food restaurant? You'd be rich. Now you can. CashLink Systems will make you the owner of ATM machines in high-traffic, brand-name fast food restaurants. These machines accept all ATM cards and debit cards, and you don't have to stock your ATMs because the cash comes from the restaurant itself. Location owners are happy to have customers with more cash to spend. Everybody wins. We help place your ATMs in brand-name fast food and other high-traffic locations. You make money as much as $1 profit on every transaction. The typical ATM averages 4,000 transactions per month. Whether your location is more or less, it'll provide you an immediate residual monthly income with no employees and virtually no overhead. Great locations are available for a short time. Call immediately. Take the first step to financial freedom. Call now.
Lacrosse fans on Long Island are used to seeing very good lacrosse, professional, college, or high school level. As the live action resumes, so glad you've tuned in. Major League Lacrosse Game of the Week action on ESPN2. The Long Island Lizards in a hole early.
Tell you, they just seem a little flat-footed. I was very impressed with their effort last night at practice. Today, prior to the game, they looked focused. But Boston's just taken it to them, and it's really been some sloppy ball handling on the defensive end of the field and not finishing their plays. Like right now is another classic example, Joe. They have a chance to make a stop here, and they don't finish the play.
Gagliardi stripping Gill on his advance to the crease. Ferocious work for this ground ball.
And Boston outworks Long Island for the ball.
And now a flag for what should only be unsportsmanlike conduct.
What's the call? Sombrado was the
Same
oldest.
guy. Right, we had delay game, then we have unsportsmanlike.
Is it releasable, though?
After 1 minute, the answer is yes.
You heard it spelled out. Bonus time for the Cannons in white. A chance to really put Long Island in a deep hole.
6-on-5 power play, very similar to hockey. The defense is in a zone.
Gill with a look-see over the defense, trying for Watson there, and it rattled off of his cross. Lizards in possession. Gagliardi was double-teamed.
Another turnover in their own zone, trouble.
Lavelle on the kick out, Regan for two, and Doherty is able to nudge that aside.
How many times, though, has Long Island garnered control in their defensive end and then turned it over, trying to bring the ball up the field?
Thinking about power play production, watch number 19 in white. Lavelle, the outstanding second-year player, is on top in that category. Gill, far away from the cage, sent that one wide.
So Gill adjusting his chin strap. Usually they put him behind the cage. It's a little different set for Boston. He's up top.
Gill surveys. Rotelli behind the goal for Watson. Over the top. That one will bounce away. Pat McCabe was saying that when a man down, the Lizards wanted to just get back to what they do well. They tried some little experimentation in the first week. On the break, Massey fires and scores!
Massey from low on the quick reset. The whistle was blown, and give Long Island a lot of credit. They hustled, they picked up the ball, and boom, they strike quick before Boston can get back in the hole. It's Low with the lead pass. Massey's got 2. He's the only goal scorer so far for Long Island. There's Chris Massey, played locally at Garden City High School. You talk about a program with a pride and tradition here on the island. Doc Doherty, their head coach, been coaching there for centuries.
Chris Massey, who will turn 28 the end of this month. Cersei and Inge get acquainted once more at the face-off X. And Cersei would love to pop one here to give his team a chance to get on a run.
They're both looking for the clamp on that face-off, and you could see the way Peter Inge gets down real low and takes Cersei out of his move by moving his glove up the line and prevents Cersei from clamping his stick down on the ball.
Very aggressively. Gill's pass dribbles all the way to the midline. Lowe, who was Major League Lacrosse's Newcomer of the Year last year, finds Jay Jalbert. Jalbert on the run. Hooks, looking for some help. Fires, and Garrity able to squeeze.
Nice save by Garrity, who's really been a spectator for the past 8 minutes. Long Island has not taken many shots. They've never really gotten into their comfort zone in their half-field offense.
Boston in white, under a minute to go in this first quarter. Leading by 3 are the Cannons. Jalbert, who was the top midfielder in terms of ground balls for the Lizards a season ago, earns another one. And a final trip now for the Lizards. Wasik over the top on the sweep, and he puts it off the outside of the meshing. Garrity looking to break with Batista. Clock down to 20 seconds.
We'd like to hold for one shot here, Joe.
Shot clock turned off. Batista, little change of pace move, and then he shrugged that one wide.
He got clubbed from behind in the helmet. Surprised there was no call.
Getting late in the frame. Roll dodge, Evans. Doherty hugging the post. And that will do it for quarter number 1. 15 minutes in the books between the two top dogs in the American division of Major League Lacrosse. And so far, it's been the guys in the white jerseys who've had the upper hand. The Cannons, the highest scoring team in the league, move to quarter number 2.
Relive the last 25 years in sports with ESPN 25. Tonight on Who's Number 1, we'll count down the best teams. From the 79 Steelers.
Everybody on that team deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
To the 98 Yankees.
Oh, Yankees win!
And on the headlines, we'll revisit stories from the Harding-Kerrigan Nightmare to the USA Dream Team.
They put all their egos behind them and come out and represent our country.
Who's Number 1 and the headlines. Tonight, 7 Eastern on ESPN. ESPN 25, presented by Gatorade Thirst Quencher.
Very nice.
Like all light beers, it's low in carbs. Unlike any other light beer, it's got the great taste of Bud Light. What we have here is a failure to compromise. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here.
When you get nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, even diarrhea,
Hey, there's Pepto-Bismol. Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Yay, Pepto-Bismol!
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Yay, Pepto-Bismol!
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Yay, Pepto-Bismol!
Now you know, Pepto treats 5 different stomach problems. You see, pink does more than you think.
Really been impressed though with the hustle from Boston. They generated some goals in some strange scenarios there. Gill on a turnover, Watson from Evans off a ground ball, and then Batista on an isolation shot. So they're showing some nice variety.
A.J. Hogan has been relatively quiet for A.J. Hogan in this one to this point. Number 12 in the black jersey as the Lizards look to create offensively. Finneran was a Bud Light MVP last week near his hometown of Philadelphia. Driving in there looking for an acrobatic shot, and it appeared like he was held.
Finneran pressing the corner. This is really the staple of the Long Island offense. There you see the holding infraction. Vinny Sombrado working the officials constantly on the sideline. Excellent spacing by Long Island, Joe, in that last isolation. They really gave Finneran the whole half side of the field to operate, and in space, these players are impossible to stop.
We'll keep our eyes trained on 33 in the black. Finneran a couple summers ago led the Lizards in power play goals. Looking over the top from the outside, whistled wide by Hogan. Backed up on the end line.
Hogan is so dangerous once the defense gets moving. Typically, he'll catch and then step around an on-rushing defender. He likes to dodge.
Hogan again, bullseye. A.J. Hogan.
Hogan from 14 yards just steps inside the 2-point arc and rips this. Second on the team in scoring with 7 goals, now 8 goals, 4 assists. He also has played in every game in Lizards history. You talk about a warhorse, a guy who's durable. Played at Johns Hopkins in college, a great high school quarterback locally at Bethpage, New York.
And regardless of the year, Quinn, when you're talking about A.J. Hogan, year after year, you just have to look maybe 3 or 4 names along the Lizards scoring list. He's going to be in the top 3 or 4.
So impressive now with his power shot from the outside. But really the name of his game is his isolation, his ability to dodge, and the angles. He can cut at angles like Gale Sayers that other players can't handle with their knees and their ankles.
Makes people miss. Rotelli defended by Finneran. Boston in the white jerseys and on the lead by 2. Evans will switch it up. Lavelle looking straight away. Rotelli. Next in line, Gill. Lavelle. Pump fake. Oh, did he run into a clothesline there? Doherty emerging from the crease. Gill there to badger him. The Lizards wanted the slashing call against the Cannons all-star attackman. McCabe playing keep away.
Tell you what this hustle does here, Joe, they're just eating into the shot clock. Riding or forechecking is a great way to play defense against the shot clock. Now Long Island gets it, but look at the clock. There's only 26 seconds to go on the shot clock.
Straight away working in against the double, scooped down low, and this one's pulled wide.
Saying that was a pass. Pass out of bounds to Boston.
Fans, be sure to log on to MajorLeagueLacrosse.com. Stay up to date on stats, your favorite team, players, plus you can order tickets and official Major League Lacrosse gear. That's MajorLeagueLacrosse.com. Check it out. Mike Regan, a 2-point specialist, if there ever was one in Major League Lacrosse. Nearly a dozen last year, and got his first of the season last week. He's out there working with Batista. That patented little hop move, igniting the dodge. Gill to Evans. Bang!
I tell you, when you watch Boston attack on offense, it's all about precision passing. It starts with an isolation. Batista draws the double team, kicks it to Gill, far side where the defense is vulnerable to Evans. That is beautiful, beautiful lacrosse, unselfish lacrosse, smart lacrosse, excellent spacing. I don't care what level, Joe, that was a signature Boston goal. Beautiful.
Got to be music to the ears to Coach Scott Hiller to see Evans contribute. Last week, he never really got into the flow of the game.
Well, he needs his shots, and his shots this season have really been decreasing by game. 8 shots week number 1, 5 in week number 2, only 4 shots last week. He's a guy who can really bring it. I think he's got to get 8 to 10 shots per.
Kevin Lowe loops it for Jay Jalbert. Jalbert finds a seam and hits the corner.
Jay Jalbert should draw a double team every time the ball is in his pocket. The league MVP from 2003. Lowe draws the crowd, kicks it again to the far side. And Jalbert, basically just like a running back, takes that check, protects his stick, boom, beats Garrity down low. Beautiful goal.
We talk about the history in this league as the Cannons come to the races. 5-on-4 fast break. Evans, he cashes in. The Cannons with expert ball movement on the fast break.
The importance of face-offs. Make it, take it, buy one, get one free. Peter Inge and Wings come up with this loose ball, and they attack 4-on-3. Watson, the little one-touch pass. Evans fakes down low, lifts that late. Doherty has been no factor whatsoever right now. And there's Evans, back-to-back goals.
Evans, the all-time leading goal scorer for the Boston Cannons. A 5-point performance in Boston's 1-point win against the Lizards in week 1. And he's got a couple of tallies in succession. Moving in there quickly, a wonderful rip on the move. That was an outstanding shot from Mike Hammer, a Major League Lacrosse rookie out of Georgetown.
Face-offs seem to be the big theme right here. It's low, and then hammer time, left-handed jump shot. Talk about location. Sensational effort by Hammer Time.
Proof's in the pudding, Quint, that you can make a Major League Lacrosse team from the practice squad. Mike Hammer earning a jersey today from Vinny Sombrado.
Hammer's a guy who played attack at Georgetown. They're asking him to play a little of both here for the Lizards.
On the run, Cannons with it. The pass for Evans was skipped on by, and this is a turnover. Actually, it was deflected off of Long Island, so it will stay Boston ball. Seven 5 on the scoreboard for the visiting Cannons. Chris Rotelli awaits. Matched up with Damian Davis, playing with a short stick defensively. He runs extremely well.
Scott Hiller talked about Chris Rotelli, the Tewaaraton Trophy winner from a year ago. Said people are always going to look at the stats and think Chris isn't contributing, but he's not putting up huge numbers, but he's still a really valuable player in terms of what he does in the middle of the field, Joe. The fact that he'll make the extra pass. He's great on ground balls. He's excellent clearing the ball.
And the Cannons continue to strike. It has been Boston showing all of the individual weapons. Lavelle getting a taste of Doherty there.
Here goes, sirs.
Lavelle, this kid can catch anything from here to Cape Cod, where they love their chowder. Watch him inside. He's not very open, but the quick hands. Native of Albany, New York. Played at UMass in college, and the defense is just not tight enough. You think you're on the guy. You could be draped on him, and he's still going to catch it and redirect. You've got to be in his face, in his jock, and you've got to check hard on the arms, Joe. Take the body.
Amazing year he's having, Quint. Last year he had 7 points total. This season, in the last 2 games, he had 13 points combined. He has become a focal point for Connor Gill, especially man up. Gill working in. Gagliardi jumped on him quickly. They spin it for Watson. The feed to the crease was knocked down, and the sticks are flying.
Frustration by Long Island. Jalbert's going to have a seat. And then Gagliardi, read him his rights, because he absolutely clubbed somebody in the back of the head. This was vicious. This was brutal. Jalbert's been known to lose his cool on occasion. And you see Fiore
with a headache.
Yeah, that's the definition of slashing. The intent there was clearly to send a message.
Cannons working on the manpower advantage. Watson behind the cage. Evans on the step. Bluffed it. Regan spins it. Batista, they keep it moving. As Gill Keeps it hot into the crease. Knocked down there for Regan. Kelly on him. Evans. Watson. And wide.
Oh, he loves that elevator shot. We've seen him do it up at practice, Joe, in Massachusetts. No angle needed. And he'll just drop down low and yank that.
Regan pump fakes for two. Feeds it inside for Lavelle, and then he got sandwiched there by the Lizards defense, who comes to the rescue. A long airmail for Gettleman gets a ride.
Tell you one thing that the two-point shot has done, it gives a guy like Mike Regan some room. He's got the ball right now, and Long Island will step out to play him. And then a lot of times he can deke around that man and score. He did that 4 times against Baltimore, where they overplayed his two-point shot.
Batista, bang from the outside. Batista feeling it from deep.
Batista from Gill, the onslaught for Boston continues. Long Island's defense. Doherty wants to talk some action with Batista. Doherty's coming over to the Boston sideline.
Mike Batista with a rocket. Boston has moved right along. They are getting underneath the skin of Brian Doherty, who's on his way to the penalty bench when you return.
Victories are personal. Achieve new balance.
You play to win.
Can't nobody touch me! You cost us the game!
You have an obligation to be a role model.
Look, I just want to play football.
Playmakers, the complete ESPN series.
We sent him to you so that he would play.
Compelling, provocative.
Are you getting rid of me?
And powerful.
Who is she?
With Smash Mouth extras.
I will snap you at the knees!
See the controversial series everyone is talking about.
This is who you are.
Playmakers, the 3-disc box set. Own it today.
Introducing Frog Togs, the amazing new outerwear that's waterproof, windproof, breathable, and ultra-lightweight. The secret to Frog Togs is the patented 3-layer fabric that prevents water and wind from penetrating while allowing body heat and perspiration to evaporate. The center layer of this ultra-lightweight material has tiny pores too small for water to penetrate, but large enough for vapors and air to pass through. The result is a water and wind barrier that stays breathable for maximum comfort. Frog Togs are feather light and are designed to wear over your regular clothes, and they go on and off easily right over your shoes or boots.
Frog Togs Performance Outerwear. It's my choice for hunting, fishing, or just watching a football game.
Call the toll-free number you see on your screen now. You'll receive the Frog Togs Outdoor Action Suit, including the jacket and pants, for just 2 easy payments of $34.95. That's right, just 2 payments of $34.95 to own your own outerwear that'll keep you dry and comfortable for years. And if you call within the next 10 minutes, we'll also include a Frog Tog storage pouch free. Try Frog Togs for 30 days. If you're not thrilled, send them back for a full refund. Call now for your very own Frog Togs.
Power play time for the Boston Cannons in the white jerseys. Brian Doherty is in the penalty bench. Nick Murtha is now in the cage with the All-Star on the bench.
Doherty just becoming unfrazzled. Basically, just melted down there after that last goal. Batista had words with Doherty, and Doherty just carried it too far.
And the Cannons' prolific power play, foiled there by John Gagliardi. The Lizards defender, Major League Lacrosse All-Star and former leading vote-getter for the All-Star team. Runs it across the timeline and turns it over.
Yeah, Gill chased him down. Gill, you need to keep 3 men back on your offensive zone. Lacrosse has played with 10 on the field. 3 midfielders, 3 defenders, 3 attackmen, and 1 goaltender.
Evans from the outside, give him the hat trick. And Boston is into double digits. Brian Doherty in the penalty bench and very upset.
Doherty's going to have a seat there for a minute for an unsportsmanlike, and then a 3-minute major. You see him trying to stay loose, and this is Evans. This is all about velocity, the power. He's the Mark McGuire of lacrosse. He's got the biggest forearms I've ever seen, and when he gets that 250 pounds behind the ball, folks, boom, 100 miles an hour. You can't see it. You can't stop it.
This time it's a face-off win for the Lizards, Chris Searcy. Jalbert on the handle. Split dodge on Regan. Kicks it out, and a rip shot from down under. Connor Denahan, the 25-year-old third-year pro, hits the mark.
Quick strike attack for Long Island. That's really what they need to counter some of the Boston's 3 goals in a row. Just poor communication defensively by Boston. You see Regan's on him. Boston steps up field. Talk about time and room. I would not want to play goalie in that scenario there. There was just a lack of defense, and Connor Denahan, whose brother Dan still plays in Major League Lacrosse, buries that 1-5 hole.
Quint, you tell us from week to week there are lots of different ways for a goaltender to attack a shot from the outside on the run like that. Denahan with pinpoint accuracy, getting the better of Garrity. Jalbert tries the 2. That one's high and hard.
Teams are back to even strength, Joe, but Doherty is not allowed in the ball game for the next 3 minutes. So that's why Long Island has not taken Murtha out.
Unreleasable. Denahan 2, knocked down by Garrity, who wants the fast break. Lollipops one to midfield. Rotelli didn't run under it. Connor Denahan, who leads the Lizards in penalty minutes this year, skips it for Jay Jalbert, who more than likely has that title by the end of the year. Denahan playing the wing. And the playmaker, the setup man, is Kevin Lowe. On the interchange for Massey. Defended by Silcott. Massey spins, looking for help, finds it low from the sharp angle, put it off the pipe. Boston on the lead by 4 and hoping to build on that advantage. Rotelli. He'll balance it up. Watson won't wait, however, and Murtha makes the save. Back come the Lizards in the black jerseys. Burns defending against Wasik. Former Division II Attackman of the Year. An outstanding shot in his own right. Finneran switches it up, and A.J. Hogan gets ready to dodge. Wants his left, and hits the mark. A.J. Hogan with a honey of a shot.
Hogan's got that lizard green stick. The fans here loving it. You see Massey clear through in front. Hogan pushes to his left and stings the corner. You kidding me? On the run from 14 yards. Garrity can't believe it. He never got to see any shots like that at Penn State, I'll tell you that. And there's Hogan.
A.J. Hogan and the Lizards just squeezed by the Philadelphia barrage last week at Villanova Stadium. Hogan contributed a couple of goals and a couple of assists. Inge wins the draw. Boston looks to get on the board next. Connor Gill outside Mike Regan. And right in his face there defensively was Hogan. The Cannons in the white jerseys. Picture perfect to start the year at 3-0 and on top in the American Division. Watson, ever acrobatic, sent it wide.
Loves that dive shot. Has such great body control where he can be falling down and still will trigger an excellent quality shot towards the cage. And that time he just flies. He just sends it.
Cannons back it up. They maintain possession. It is Gill swimming past Gagliardi. Looking inside for Fiore. Regan wants the ground ball, and it comes back for Inge. Inge with a long, long drive as it was getting late in the shot clock. Trying to avoid the turnover there, Scott Hiller sets up strategy and complains a bit to an official. Boston 10, Long Island 7.
2 of those 7 Lizard goals, Joe, have come from A.J. Hogan. I think he only has 2 shots. They have got to get him involved as more part of the offense. And for Boston, it's really been relentless. A lot of pressure on both goalies. Nick Murtha now in for Brian Doherty, who kind of basically lost his cool. Got those two big penalties.
Lizards have to like the fact that they're only down by 3 points and really haven't had much mustard from Tim Gettleman to this point.
Well, I think it's got to start with the Lizard defense, though, Joe. They've never shown in this game that they can stop Boston.
Nick Murtha still in there as Brian Doherty is cooling his heels. The goalie of the year was assessed to 3 minutes and unreleasable penalties after blowing a gasket at one of the officials.
He blew a gasket in week 1 against this Boston team, too.
Low, defended with a short stick there by Brian Silcott, one of the veterans on this Boston team at age 38.
Oh, great slide. What an awesome double team
Mike
that was.
Pizer coming over to make the play.
Yeah, that was terrific. Lowe turned his back on the defense, and Pizer jumped him. He picked his pocket.
Connor Gill finding some room there. Plays it out for Burns, and now he'll settle. He wants Dussault to pilot this next rush. A.J. Hogan will pick him up. 13 in the white is Steve Dussault, who was a former 50-goal getter at Georgetown. Dussault. Evans, who's got 3 on the night. Regan lost it there as Jared Testa stepped in his way. Regan runs on by. Murtha holds the post and has the rebound. The Long Island Lizards and the Boston Cannons. These two teams won't wait long to get a rematch. They're at Nickerson Field next week.
Going to the Nick.
Where the Cannons are 2-0 and very tough to beat in front of a very vocal fan base.
Oh, those fans up in Boston are loving the Cannons. And the move to the Nick, talking crowd 7, 8, 9,000. Can you get a dog and some chowder at those games, Joe?
I would say yes, my friend.
Can't wait. We'll be up there 2 times in a row.
Nothing but the best. And word is going to be announced, Quint, that Major League Lacrosse is going to have the championship finals at Nickerson in Boston. As the shot clock expires, this is a turnover back to the Cannons. Major League Lacrosse's championship game will be played in Boston in late August. Gagliardi still trying to fence in Connor Gill.
Gagliardi chased him down, got him with a trail check. He was giving him the slap. And somehow that ball popped out of the pocket. Connor Gill.
The rookie Mike Hammer waiting for help as Vinny Sombrado substitutes freely through the box.
The second line, Gilbert, Denahan, and Wasik. And Wasik has really been a non-factor so far, Joe. Denahan's gotten himself on the board, as has Gilbert, but Wasik has to be more of a threat.
Gilbert now about 30 yards away from the cage. Turning Batista around inside out. Nice pass for Lowe. Kevin Lowe.
Jay Gilbert with a terrific skip pass. The seam pass through the defense. He draws the double team. It's Pizer who steps upfield. But the recovery is not there defensively. You have to rotate upfield and recover underneath. One pass, boom, the bounce shot by Lowe. Great pass by Jay Gilbert.
Is he ever a handful? These Boston Cannons have played more one-point games than any team in Major League Lacrosse's 4-year history. It's a 2-point affair right now, and Gilbert's looking to change it again. Gettleman inside, one more for Massey. Loose in front, and Gettleman goosed it wide, but he was in the crease. A crease violation against Long Island.
Billy!
The long ball sent the length, and that is going to do it as we are through with the first half's activities. A well-deserved rest for Kevin Lowe and the rest of the Lizards. Boston's on the board. Lowe has been dynamic for Long Island's strike. Meanwhile, David Evans has had the hot hand for the Cannons. Stay with us. We've got more coming up at the half on the Major League Lacrosse Game of the Week.
Tonight, at 7, who were the top 25 teams of the past quarter century?
If you can do it, it ain't bragging, and they could do it.
And what were the biggest headlines?
Shocking news from the Olympics. Ben Johnson tests positive for steroids.
Tune in to ESPN 25 to find out. At 7 on ESPN2, the block party is back for another hot summer. It's all on ESPN and ESPN2 tonight.
The human machine only performs at its peak when it replaces what it loses. That's why Gatorade puts back the sodium, potassium, and carbs water does not have. These essential elements are the reason Gatorade has been proven to rehydrate, replenish, and refuel athletes better than water.
He keeps dropping hints.
I haven't actually said it.
So we know he wants A new Shimano reel. A new Nike golf shirt.
10 less pounds.
He's also mentioned
Titleist golf balls. Nike shocks.
Tear at the leg.
But as long as it's from Dick's,
if we buy it at Dick's Sporting Goods,
I'll be happy.
he'll be happy.
Get to Dick's and save on all kinds of great gifts Dad will love, or give him a Dick's gift card. And remember, every season starts at Dick's.
He'll be happy.
Recently, one of the Clydesdales called me into his office. So I put on my hair extensions and went to see him. He said, "I've got big news about this election." I said, "Really? What news?" He said, "I'm about to tell you. Calm down." I said, "No, you calm down." He said, "No, you." I said, "Make me." It got pretty awkward. But then he told me, Miller is not eligible to run for office in America because they were bought by South African breweries. So we win. I was so excited, I started wiggling my ears. I'm the Budweiser Donkey, and I approve this message.
Cannons are 3-0, all 3 wins by 2 points or less, and they're in another tight one at the half in this, our Major League Lacrosse game of the week. You know what? The Cannons have had the knack for getting off to a hot start, Quinn Kesnick, in games this season, and this time around was no different. Go back to the first half highlights. Early, it was all Boston.
Well, they were hustling and making good things happen in the offensive zone. It was Long Island who struggled with the ball in their own end. That's a giveaway goal, Joe. McCabe to Gill, 1-0.
And then it was a wild play late in the shot clock situation. Dussault says, why not? From about 25, bang, for 2 against Doherty.
Doherty in need of some contact lenses there. Dussault for 2. And then Watson finishes from Evans off some tenacious foul ball play.
The Cannons have outstanding scores at the midfield ranks, included among them Mike Batista.
The isolation down the right side. Batista made it 5-1 Boston.
Chris Garrity was strong in the cage, but it would be the Lizards having an answer late.
That was Chris Massey from low to make it 5-2. And then the last goal for Long Island, low from a nifty pass from Jay Gilbert.
Break time for us. More coming up at the half. Cannons by 2 against the Lizards. We'll return to Long Island in a moment.
Lakers, Pistons, the NBA Finals on ABC. Powered by Rasheed Wallace and a suffocating D, Detroit shocked America and took a 3-1 lead in the series.
Rasheed Wallace, and that could be the dagger.
Now, with 1 game left in Motown, Shaq and company are on the brink of elimination as the Pistons shoot to clinch the title in Game 5. Lakers, Pistons. Coverage begins at 8:30 Eastern tonight on ABC.
The following is an urgent message for all inventors. Who cashed in on your last great idea? Do you have another invention? Do you need a patent? Then you need InventTech.
5 years ago, I put this wheel on a stick to build my abs. I can't believe I didn't get a patent.
My idea for a new mop was called Swishy, but without a patent, I lost the race to the market.
Call InventTech now for a free inventor's kit and get our free video or DVD with your confidential submission. Call 1-800-504-9988.
Here we go. I'm the man. I'm the man. Man.